from around the world who are with us today. Comrades and friends, the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression was the Great War fought with tenacity and valor. Under the banner of the National United Front against Japanese aggression, established at the initiative of the Communist Party of China, the Chinese people stood up to fight the formidable enemy with an iron will and formed a great war with flesh and blood to defend the nation, and ultimately achieved the first complete victory in resisting foreign aggression in modern times. The Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression was an important part of the World Anti-Fascist War. With huge national sacrifice, the Chinese people made major contributions to saving human civilization and safeguarding world peace. History cautions us that humanity rises and falls together. Only when all countries and nations treat each other as equals, coexist in peace, and support each other, can we uphold common security, eradicate the root cause of war, and prevent the reoccurrence of historical tragedies. Comrades and friends, the Chinese nation is the great nation that is never intimidated by any bullies and always values independence and forges ahead. In the past, when faced with critical struggles between good and evil, light and darkness, progress and reaction, the Chinese people rallied together to defy the enemy. They fought for the survival of the country, for the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, and for justice of the whole humanity. Today, humanity again has to choose between peace and war, dialogue and confrontation, win-win cooperation and zero-sum game. The Chinese people firmly stand on the right side of history and the progress of human civilization. We will remain committed to the path of peaceful development and join hands with all peoples around the world in building a community with a shared future for humanity. The Chinese People's Liberation Army has been and will always be the heroic armed forces that the party and the people can fully trust and rely on. All service members should faithfully perform their sacred duties, speed up the building of a world-class military, and firmly safeguard China's sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity. All service members should provide strategic support for the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and make greater contributions to the peace and development of the world. History carries the legacy of the past and inspires the future. On a new journey in a new era, the Chinese people of all ethnic groups should, under the strong leadership of the Communist Party of China, follow Marxism, Leninism, Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the theory of three represents, and the scientific outlook on development, and fully implement the thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era. We should stay firmly on a path of socialism with Chinese characteristics and carry forward the great spirit of the war of resistance. We should press ahead with enterprise and resolve, and advance in unity the cause of building China into a great country on all fronts and realizing great national rejuvenation through China's modernization. The great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is irresistible. The noble cause of peace and development of humanity will prevail. The military parade now begins. Markers in position.
The parade guards mark positions and boundaries at the parade ground. 60 soldiers will line up in front of the eastern and western ornament columns on the Tiananmen Square.
Marching with steadfast footsteps and imposing bearing, the ironclad troops showcase their unshakable faith, strong conviction, strict discipline, and firm commitment to their duties.
Standing firm on the ground of the motherland and bearing the hope of the Chinese nation, the heroic People's Liberation Army has forged ahead dauntlessly throughout wars, achieving great historic feats for the party and the people.
At this solemn moment today, the People's Armed Forces are ready for the inspection of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, Chinese President, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping. They are also ready to be reviewed by the party and the people.
Comrade Chairman, the troops for review are fully prepared. Please proceed with the inspection. Chief Commander of the Parade, Han Zhengxuan. Let's begin.
Next, President Xi will pay an eye salute to the party national and military flags.
In a typical back and forth, President Xi says, "Salute to you, comrades." And the soldiers reply, "Hail to Chairman." The president then says, "Comrades, thank you for your hard work." To which the soldiers reply, "We serve the people."
As you could hear right there, the phrase "serve the people" was written into the party constitution at the 7th National Congress of the Communist Party of China in 1945. Serving the people wholeheartedly was established as the fundamental principle of the party and the People's Liberation Army.
As As President Xi's car rides past each segment of the troops, he greets the soldiers. The troops respond vociferously, paying respect and demonstrating their loyalty. These phrases are used in inspections, parades, and other military gatherings.
The PLA views itself not only as the defender of national sovereignty, but as an integral part of society with a direct responsibility to safeguard people's well-being. In peacetime, the Chinese military participates in missions that serve the people's interests, such as disaster relief. And all this has earned them the title, the most beloved people in China.
Now President Xi is heading back to the Tiananmen rostrum. When President rides past the troops, the soldiers shout, "Follow the party's command, fight to win, forge exemplary conduct. Justice will prevail, peace will prevail, the people will prevail."
Follow the party's command sets the military's political orientation. Fighting to win is the basic function of the military, and the fundamental objective is development. Forging exemplary conduct demonstrates the Army's nature and principle.
Justice will prevail. Peace will prevail. The people will prevail. These three phrases were the closing lines in President Xi's speech 10 years ago, when the country marked the 70th anniversary of the victory of Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War.
As we were just watching President Xi Jinping inspecting the troops before the parade takes place, breaking news just coming in. U.S. President Donald Trump has just reacted to the military parade in China. In a social media post, Trump said, and I'm quoting here, "The big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it to secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader." Now, Trump claims that many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. Trump says he hopes that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. Now, Trump has also expressed his best wishes for President Xi and the wonderful people of China, as he mentions, and said that the people of China, have a great and lasting day of celebrations. Now, Trump also took a shot at the gathering of the world leader there, saying, and I'm quoting, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." And these are the reactions. First reaction coming in from the President of the United States, Donald Trump, reacting to the military parade in China, just as President Xi Jinping is inspecting and has almost finished his inspection of the troops that you see right now on your screens. Live visuals from Beijing in China.
multi-war
commenced the march past.
Flag guides the direction. Flag proves strength. The march past begins with the
flag of the CPC, the national flag of the People's Republic of China, and the flag of the People's Liberation Army are fluttering high in the air. 26 helicopters form huge numerical shapes of 8 and 0. 3 helicopters were bearing the banners that read, "Justice will prevail, peace will prevail, the people will prevail." These messages are a great truth inspired by history, a solemn proclamation of the right course, and a clarion call in an era of peace and development.
The Chinese nation always cherishes peace and takes side with historical correctness, fairness, and justice. The people's military will always be admiring the Great Wall in defending national sovereignty, security, and development interests, as well as a pillar of world peace.
A total of 45 formations and echelons participate in the parade, and most of the weapons and equipment are shown to the public for the first time. It not only embodies the continuation of the heroic armed forces during the War of Resistance, but also demonstrates the new look of the people's military in the new era with enhanced political awareness and its new structure and force composition, new progress and modernization, and new achievements in enhancing combat readiness.
First to be inspected are 13 flood formations. After a comprehensive and deepened reform, the People's Military has formed a new system of services and arms. 4 service formations, 4 armed formations, and the formation of the Armed Police Force will be holding their respective flags to make a group debut during the parade. Holding high the party, national, and military flags, the formation of the Guard of Honor of the PLA is marching toward us. The People's Armed Forces, under the leadership of the CPC, are always the defenders of the country, socialism, and people's interests.
Formation is marching towards us as the earliest armed forces established and led by the party. The PLA army fought the enemies fearlessly and achieved immortal feats through countless battles. In the new era, the army is transforming itself fast to operate in multiple domains.
Now coming is the Navy formation. Breaking the waves and navigating to the deep blue, the PLA Navy has comprehensively strengthened its maritime deterrent and combat capabilities to safeguard peace and stability at the sea. moving fast to become a world-class naval force.
Coming up next is the Air Force formation. Building a strong Air Force has been the unremitting pursuit of the party and the people. Taking off in times of wars and sharpening its edge through battles, the PLA Air Force is making great strides towards integrating air and space capabilities and coordinating offensive and defensive operations.
Now under inspection is the Rocket Force formation. As a core force of China's strategic deterrence, the PLA Rocket Force serves as the strategic support of China's status as a big power and an important cornerstone to safeguard national security. It strives to become a modern armed force with both nuclear and conventional capabilities and able to deter wars in all battle spaces.
The Aerospace Force formation is making their debut in the parade. As a new domain, new quality force advocating peaceful utilization of space, the PLA Aerospace Force safeguards the lasting peace and common security of space and offers strategic support for being a great power in aerospace.
Also making its debut is the Cyberspace Force formation. China advocates building a peaceful, secure, open, cooperative, and orderly cyberspace. Through building a cyber Great Wall, China decisively safeguards its network security and sovereignty in the digital battlefield.
Information Support Force formation is also making its debut at the Tiananmen Square. As a brand new strategic arm, the PLA Information Support Force is capable of capturing information heights, strives for innovation and development, and provides support to win informationized and intelligent wars in multiple domains.
Now receiving inspection is the Joint Logistics Support Force formation. From self-reliance during the War of Resistance all the way to becoming part of the synchronized operational systems and providing effective and precise assistance in the new era, the PLA Joint Logistics Support System has made new strides.
Inspection is the Armed Police Force formation. From metropolises to remote coastal areas, the People's Armed Force police force, either performing regular duties, handling emergencies, or engaging in rescue operations, is dedicated to safeguarding national security and social stability and ensuring people's well-being. Distinguished by its versatility and effectiveness in maintaining stability, the armed police force is always a loyal guard of the party and the people.
Next comes the Reserve Force for Nation. New types of reserve forces have been fully integrated into the leadership and command systems of the military. They are ever prepared to fight and carry out the missions of the people's military in coordination with the active duty forces in the new era.
The army and the people are the foundation of victory. Now marching forward is the militia formation. The militia women are from the major wartime counter-Japanese base areas across China. During the War of Resistance, Chinese people, regardless of their gender or ages, acted as one in safeguarding their homes. The red genes have passed on from one generation to another. In the new era, the militia forces provide backup services during peaceful time.
China has been contributing to maintaining world peace. The peacekeeping force for nation is marching towards us. China is the largest troop-contributing country for peacekeeping among the permanent members of the UN Security Council. Having participated in UN peacekeeping operations for 35 years, the Chinese peacekeeping forces have confronted daunting challenges and fulfilled their missions. The forces have guarded world peace without hesitating to sacrifice their lives, demonstrated through their action how China assumes its responsibility as a major power, making great contributions to building a community with a shared future for humanity.
With majestic bearing, the 7 combat groups of the armament formations, led by the banner formation, are ready to be revealed. Once utilizing inferior weapons during the War of Resistance, the PLA has accelerated to develop new weapons, including massively deployed killer heavyweight weapons, thus being better equipped to deter enemies and win the war.
The banner formation showcases 80 honorary banners of the hero unit troops, bearing glory from the past. The banners symbolize heroism and victory and will always propel the People's Army to forge ahead.
4 formations of the Land Combat Group are ready to be reviewed. Marching towards us is the Ground Assault Formation, grouped in an arrow-shaped array. The Type 99B tank features strong striking abilities empowered with information. The Type 100 tank and Type 100 fighting vehicle are highly intelligent and capable of coordinated combat. The new generation armaments of the PLA Army's ground assault forces demonstrate the strong ability of capturing strongholds with mobility and piercing fortification.
Coming up next is the Amphibious Assault Vehicle Formation, made up of amphibious wheeled armored assault vehicles, infantry fighting vehicles, and self-propelled howitzers. Capable of storming the shoreline for assault with strong mobility and flexibility, they are key armaments for the Marine Corps to take the lead in landing operations and make key area seizure.
Marching towards us is the imposing airborne assault formation. Diverse airborne armaments in the formation are able to make long-distance airdrop and provide heavy-equipped maneuvering support. They are sharp weapons for the Army to make rapid response and deep strike.
Marching forward is the formation of long-range artillery for subjugation and precision strike. The two types of 191 box-shaped rocket artilleries are capable of making strike and providing support, expanding the Army's capability in terrestrial battle.
Next to be reviewed are three formations of the Maritime Combat Group. First comes the carrier-based air defense weapon formation. Being reviewed are four types of armaments that compose a three-dimensional system for air defense covering all ranges. The carrier-based laser weapons are strongly capable of precision destruction and consistent strike, defining the new landscape in maritime attack and defense.
The anti-ship missile formation consists of NG-15 missile and NG-19, NG-17, and NG-20 hypersonic missiles. The missiles can be deployed on multiple platforms, such as carrier-based aircraft, surface vessels, and submarines. Featuring long-range strike, fast speed, and strong destruction, they're sharp weapons for striking enemies on the sea.
Now on parade is the underwater weapon formation. Light and heavy torpedoes, as well as torpedoes propelled by rockets, are able to strike vessels and disrupt undersea targets. The new special-purpose naval mines can autonomously identify and attack targets. They are key forces for guarding strongholds and making waves in naval warfare.
Three formations of the Air Defense and Anti-Missile Operations Group will be inspected. Here comes the Early Warning Detection Formation. The four types of weapons that are being inspected are all new generations of domestically made, highly mobile radar. In group coordination, they can detect stealth aircraft and ballistic missiles far and near. They provide early warning for the country's airspace and aerial security.
Under review now is the Anti-Aircraft Combat Formation. It's a heroic unit.
As China is holding the military parade to mark the 80th anniversary to the end of World War II, commemorating 8 decades since Japan's surrender, US President Donald Trump has now reacted to the military parade in China.
Well, Trump had reacted on his social media platform, expressing his best wishes for President Xi Jinping and the wonderful people of China, saying they have a great and lasting day of celebration. But the US president also posed a question here.
Now he wrote, and I'm quoting here, the big question here to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader.
Well, Trump claimed that many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory all those decades ago. And Trump said that he hopes that they are rightfully honored and even remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. Trump also expressed his best wishes for President Xi Jinping. And Trump also took a shot at the gathering of world leaders.
He said, quoting yet again, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong as you conspire against the United States of America." So there you go, a quip from the US President Donald Trump there.
Once again, for our viewers, these are live visuals coming in from Beijing, China, where China is holding a military parade on the 80th anniversary of World War II over their win.
Driving towards us is the cyberspace combat formation. The four types of equipment being inspected can command and control, detect and sense, and carry out cyber and electronic countermeasures in an integrated way. It is a new force that consolidates cyber defense and empowers joint force operations.
Here comes the Electronic Countermeasure Formation. 5 types of their key equipment are displayed. They can detect and monitor all frequencies and subdue the enemy forces precisely. They are capable of aerial and space countermeasures and disconnecting the enemy networks. They are a crucial force in securing victory on joint multi-domain battlefields.
Now we have the Information Support Formation. It is made up of vehicles capable of cloud computing, digital intelligence, forming air-ground networks, and integrating information on the battlefield. they can quickly establish new types of internet communication systems to support joint operations.
Next to be inspected is the Unmanned Combat Group, consisting of 3 formations. First, we have the Unmanned Land Combat Formation. These unmanned vehicles can carry out various tasks such as reconnaissance, assaults, mine and bomb defusing and removal, and squad assistance. They can be operated remotely and are able to move independently, work flexibly in groups, and make intelligent maneuvers. With them, the Army can make coordinated operations between manned and unmanned forces.
Now approaching is the Unmanned Maritime Combat Formation. Being revealed now are new types of unmanned underwater vehicles and unmanned surface vehicles, as well as underwater mine deployment systems, which are capable of hidden deployment and blockade, independent target identification, and group-based attacks. They are extraordinary weaponry to win maritime combat.
Passing by next is the Unmanned Aerial Combat. The new models of weaponry include reconnaissance and strike drones, unmanned wing planes, unmanned air domination planes, and unmanned aircraft carrier-borne helicopters. Covering a wide range of space, they can attack in a way that is difficult to be detected and can automatically coordinate with one another, creating a new model of future-oriented aerial combat scenario.
The 2 formations of the Logistics and Equipment Support Group are to be revealed. The Logistics Support Formation consists of field ambulances, field hospital installations, fuel transport and refueling vehicles, and field hot meal providing system. They have greatly enhanced modern logistics support for the troops.
Among the equipment support formation are light repair vehicles, wheeled emergency rescue and repair vehicles, disassemble and assemble repair vehicles, and electromechanical maintenance vehicles. It's like an armored hospital for weapons and equipment.
Next to be inspected is the Strategic Strike Group, consisting of 4 formations. First, we have the Cruise Missile Formation, with naval, air, and rocket forces being organized into a joint group. The Changjiang 20A, Yingji 18C, Changjiang 1000 missiles can implement long-range precision strikes, creating multi-domain deterrence.
Speed is key to victory. Now we have the hypersonic missile formation. The new types of missiles, Yingji 21, Dongfeng 17, and Dongfeng 26D, can fly at an extremely high speed, excel at breaking through blockage, and hit targets with high precision. They're vital to victory during all-weather combat.
Coming up next for inspection is the first nuclear missiles formation. The heavyweight weapons in the group include Jinlei-1 air-based long-range missile, Julang-3 submarine-based intercontinental missile, Dongfeng 61 land-based intercontinental missile, and the new land-based intercontinental missile of Dongfeng 31. It's the first time that China showcases its nuclear force in land, sea, and air together. They are mighty strategic deterrents to safeguard national sovereignty and dignity.
Now coming to us is the second nuclear missiles formation. The Dongfeng 5C liquid intercontinental strategic nuclear missile can strike any target around the world with its extensive shooting range. It is capable of providing defense and deterrence at any minute. With these strategic heavyweight weapons in hand, China has forged a shield of peace to its safety. The people's military are loyally fulfilling their duties to safeguard the nation and its people, as well as world peace. Air echelons will soon arrive for inspection. The aircraft featuring early warning and reconnaissance, long-range strike, aerospace control operations, strategic delivery, and logistics support will show the PLA's increasing air combat capabilities. First flying past is the echelon of early warning and command aircraft. The echelon of Kongjing 500A early warning planes and J-16 fighters, the echelon of Kongjing 600 early warning planes, and J-15T shipboard fighters pass through in turn for inspection. The development and deployment of the latest domestically made early warning aircraft has remarkably improved the PLA's capabilities in command and control, early warning and detection, and coordinated strike.
Now approaching is the echelon of special purpose aircraft. Under the escort of J-16 fighters, wide-line anti-submarine patrol aircraft, electronic reconnaissance aircraft, and radar jamming aircraft form the 3B formations. The deployment of the various types of special purpose aircraft has significantly increased the PLA's abilities in maritime and air reconnaissance, patrol and surveillance, and electromagnetic neutralization.
Closely following is the echelon of transport aircraft. Y-20A transport planes and Y-20B transport planes make up two V formations and are flying in a combat mode. New type multifunctional transport aircraft equipped with new domestically made engines feature long flight range, high loading capacity, and high speed. With the capacity of long-distance strategic delivery, they have carried out multiple major missions at home and abroad.
Now flying over is the echelon of bombers composed of three V formations that consist of H-6N strategic bombers, H-6K bombers, and H-6J bombers. As a major force in long-range strike, the aircraft are capable of long-distance raid, patrol in a large area, and attacks outside its defense zone.
Now flying over Tiananmen Square is the echelon of three WION 20A airborne refueling tankers, which are ready to refuel H-6N bombers, J-16 fighters, J-20 fighters. The deployment of domestically made refueling tankers has enabled China's fighter planes to operate long-distance flights.
Now approaching are two V formations of fighter jets that include J-16D, J-20, J-35A, J-20S, and J-20A. With the fielding of multiple new type stealth fighters, the PLA is speeding up the fighter jets upgrades.
Now, above in the sky is the echelon of carrier-based aircraft composed of two V formations of J-15DH, J-15DT, J-35, and J-15T carrier-based aircraft. From ski jump takeoff to catapult takeoff, and from a single type to multiple models, China's carrier-based aircraft has undergone a leapfrog development.
Last flying past is the echelon of trainer aircraft. Seven J-10 aerobatics planes stage an aerial display of 14 colored smoke trails, symbolizing the 14 years of war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the bright prospects for the 1.4 billion Chinese people striving for national rejuvenation.
All markers fall out. Release the peace staffs.
Now we can see 80,000 doves flying into the sky. Let's honor our heroes, uphold justice, and safeguard peace. This land and people will forever remember the fallen heroes, whose spirits are immortal.
The commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War has now concluded.
Hello everyone, you're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA with Haim. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
China hosts massive military parade in Beijing to commemorate victory in Second World War. The Loyal Wingman drone, hypersonic cruise missiles, air defense system, anti-ship ballistic missile and latest tanks make an appearance.
US President reacts to the military parade in China, takes a potshot at Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as he extends his wishes to his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, accuses the trio of conspiring against the US.
Trump says US forces attacked a boat carrying drugs to the US, killing 11 narco-terrorists. Trump claims these narco-terrorists belong to a gang controlled by Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
A US House panel releases a batch of documents from the investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. More than 33,000 pages of documents uploaded to the website of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee after being handed over by the Justice Department.
At least 6 aftershocks, including one measuring 5.5, rattled eastern Afghanistan yesterday, prompting fears of more destruction. More than 1,400 people have died after a powerful earthquake shook the area this weekend. At least 25 people killed in 3 attacks in Pakistan, including 14 who died after a suicide bomber targeted a political rally in Balochistan. Another attack near the Iran border claimed 5 lives, while 6 soldiers were killed after a suicide attack on their base in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
A US judge rejects government's demand that Google sell its Chrome web browser as part of a major antitrust case, but imposes sweeping requirements to restore competition in online search, including sharing data with competitors.
All right, now US President Donald Trump said that US forces have attacked a boat carrying drugs to the United States, killing 11 narco-terrorists.
This is from a gang that he alleged was controlled by Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. The move is a potentially significant escalation in the standoff between Caracas and Washington after the United States deployed 8 warships to Latin America in what it bills as a war on drug trafficking.
Now, Trump posted a video online of an open-top speedboat carrying a number of people before it exploded in a ball of flames. Trump had initially announced at the White House that the US forces had shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, lots of drugs in that boat, without giving any details.
When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that.
He later posted a statement about the strike on his Truth Social network along with the black and white video of the exploding boat. He wrote, I quote here, "On my orders, US military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists." He added that the strike occurred while the terrorists were at sea in international waters transporting illegal narcotics heading to the US. The strike resulted in 11 terrorists killed in action.
The US president then went on to allege that the Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan group he has frequently referred to as part of his crackdown on undocumented migration, was operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro. The United States designated the gang a terrorist organization earlier this year.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also vowed to keep using the full might of the United States to eradicate drug cartels as he left for a visit to Mexico. Rubio told reporters that full might of the U.S. will be used against these cartels. However, he did confirm that these drugs were heading to the U.S.
These particular drugs were probably headed to Trinidad or some other country in the Caribbean, at which point they just contribute to the instability these countries are facing. So the president's been very clear that he's going to use the full power of America and the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels, no matter where they're operating from and no matter how long they've been able to act with impunity. Those days are over.
Now, the announcement of the strike followed days of mounting tensions between Washington and Caracas. There are currently 8 U.S. Navy ships involved in counter-narcotics efforts in Latin America.
Maduro has termed the deployment of the U.S. warships as a threat to Venezuela, accusing Trump of attempting to bring about a regime change. He has said that Venezuela was prepared for a period of armed struggle in defense of the national territory in case of an attack.
President